everybody, and welcome to Pearl Perspectives. We're three pearls with lots of perspectives. My name is Ali, this is Karine, and Anaï, and
Hello.
Today we want to talk to you a little bit about our style evolution. We've talked a lot in the past about how we've grown as makers, and we thought we'd show you a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So, let's get started. Let's get into it.
Who wants to give the... Oh, should we go from the beginning?
From the beginning to now?
Yeah. Okay, so I can start with when I first started making, I was 6 or 7 years old. Okay? Bebe. I was not actually making usable things. And then I had a big crochet moment all through high school and university where I was almost exclusively making amigurumi.
Nice.
That was my whole deal. I was making amigurumi. I had no idea what Ravelry was at the time. I know you just said a moment ago before we started recording, I didn't know what Ravelry was. But I was on multiple websites looking at inspiration. So that's how I discovered Reddit. That's how I discovered DeviantArt. That's how I discovered Tumblr. And so I would just look at stuff that people had crocheted, or even if I didn't realize that it was crochet, and I would try to replicate that. It was a very freeing style for me. I was never going for perfection. I was going for cute. I was going for accurate. I was making a lot of Pokemon. In crochet, I was doing a lot of little figurines or comic book and movie things. And then I had a big knitting moment. And I'm still on that knitting moment. And that was triggered when I was looking at moving to Canada. So I was like, I need warm stuff. I need wearables. I need, So I started making hats. Just really simple. But I started with garments when I found these online vendors that sold kits to make super chunky knits. One of them was Wool and the Gang. And I'm wearing something from their collection now.
Amazing.
This is the first sweater I ever made. I'll let you guess how that went.
It went great, clearly.
It went great. No, you know what? This is supposed to be intentional because it was supposed to be like a trash fashion situation. And I think
there's another one in the front.
There's another one here, and another strategically in the back. But I loved it so much. I wore this thing for years.
It's been well loved. You can
tell.
I think I made this in 2016, so
nice.
8 years ago. And it's all pilled because I wore it to the office. I wore it as a layer. I wore it around the house. I wore it through the pandemic. And now I just can't get over the feel of it because this is like a merino alpaca mix. And I just find it itchy now. Whereas I didn't before. And I'm also, my body is different. And I'm not enjoying the oversized tunic situation as much as I was before. Now I kind of want my hips to show a little bit more, so I'm looking for more crops. So I don't reach out for this anymore. It was also a drop shoulder. I'm not sure if you can see it's a seamed at the edges, drop shoulder, and it's literally 2 rectangles for the front and back and 2 rectangles for the sleeves. And it's kind of cool for a first time sweater.
Yeah. Looks way better than the first one I made.
I can't see myself wearing this anymore. I had to fish it for today. I had to fish it from inside storage.
Time to donate.
Because it's just time to let it go.
Yep.
It's not in good enough condition to donate, I don't think.
I think so. Just depill it.
Yeah, you have to maybe give it a little bit of love before, but I think so.
I also made this before I knew about stretchy cast-offs.
Oh yeah,
So the neck is absolutely immovable. So the rolled over neck kind of flops because I was just not great at it. And now I don't think I like rollover necks anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Now my style is more like sleek, a lot more stockinette, very colorful but solids, maybe a tonal.
Yep.
I don't usually go for chunky knits anymore. I'm sticking to the worsted and below, unless it's like a very special occasion. Yeah. Another example of what I used to do before is this. This is from another one of those kit companies. They're called We Are Knitters, and they made this collaboration with a person, like an actor, the actor that did Jessica Jones.
Oh, okay.
Who apparently is a great knitter, and she made a couple kits. Nice. And I made this sweater, and this is merino singles, and chunky. It is just too chunky and too hot. I want to say
you're just not comfortable wearing it anymore.
I'm not comfortable wearing. I think I wore it a couple times out, and I just couldn't find an occasion in which I was temperature-wise comfortable in it, because it was either too hot,
it's too hot,
or it wasn't hot enough to wear without my parka, and it's so chunky I can't put my parka over it.
It's kind of nice though, because you
very
have a lot
nice.
of like the little like
you can
difference.
see that like your growth as a knitter.
Yeah,
exactly. But like, look at this unfinished edge. That was a pattern, eh? There was like, no, don't even bother doing a neck. It'll just fall off. It doesn't.
I see that, and I actually have a project, one of my early projects, that is kind of similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if we were gravitating towards projects that just didn't look daunting.
Oh,
yes. Well, obviously, because
I leveled down the project that I had.
Mm-hmm. You did?
Yes. All right. Well, let's segue then, because we do have to keep this short and concise today. So I don't have the first sweater I ever knit, because that was something that I gifted to my mom. It was a cardigan. But I do have the first sweater I ever knit for myself. So this was, I feel like I should caveat, I started knitting at 18 in 2010. Mostly blankets, accessories, things like that. Super basic, stockinette only. Kind of petered off a little bit. And then when I went to grad school in 2017, I brought it back because grad school is expensive. I was living overseas. All of my friends were my classmates. I wasn't going out on a Friday night because at that point I was like 26, 27, and I was like, been there, done that, I'm good. So I picked up my knitting again, in earnest. And I decided for the second year of my degree that I and my friend in my class, Cristiana, that we would make dissertation sweaters. So we picked knitting patterns that kind of reflected the topics of our dissertation, and then we worked on those while we were doing like in the downtime, in the evenings, or if like, for example, I had long integration times on the equipment I was using, so I had to wait. Anyway, long story short, we knit dissertation sweaters. So this is the first sweater I ever knit for myself, and it's called the Pixelated Pullover.
It's an unfinished neck.
Exactly. But the thing is, I chose to do that. So I had never done color work in a project before this, right? And so there's this pixelated, that's where the color transitions are. But if you look at the pattern, there's actually supposed to be, this yellow is supposed to be at the very top, and you pixelate it while you're doing all of the neck shaping and everything. And then you come back up and you pick up a collar and you knit upwards. I was too terrified. I was too terrified to do color work and shaping at the same time.
And that today would be no thing.
Yeah, right now I'd be like, I could probably do that blindfolded. But again, this is... This was in 2018 that I started this. We're what, 6 years later?
Yeah.
I've grown, right? But I picked this up and I did the pattern, other than that color work at the top, I did it almost exactly a pattern, which includes waist shaping down here in the silver part. I don't know if you can see it. There's some right here. There. And then the length of this as well to the pattern, which hits me probably right at like the widest part of my hip. This is a sweater I love. I still wear it, but I don't reach for it as often because it's not a shape that I enjoy wearing. Because it hugs me in places where I don't want to be hugged. And because of how long it is, I end up now with my body the shape it is bunching, and I'm not about that.
You don't like the little bunch.
I don't like that. If I'm sitting here today, I want like thumbs out. Like I want the shape. We want to see it.
We want to see it.
It is a beautiful round ball. Let us show off the beautiful round.
She's a ripe pear.
Exactly. Exactly.
She's a juicy fruit.
Whereas
yes.
This tends to make me look like a sausage casing, which I'm not about that life. So while I still wear this sweater, it's not as often. And on top of that, full-length sleeves, which I now tend to pull up because I hate having stuff around my wrists when I'm working, when I'm doing. I find it gets in the way. I also made these pretty long, so now I'm constantly just pushing them up.
It sounds like we both didn't know what we liked to wear.
Yeah, we didn't. Would
you two say that you have a defined style.
Yes.
You do?
I think so.
Because I think I'm more like an eclectic flip and flop between styles.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Is that also you?
Same. I think for me, it's the same thing in music and everything in my life. I don't gravitate towards a genre. I gravitate towards one particular piece that speaks to me.
Interesting.
And the piece can be anything. So, like, sometimes some of them will be similar, but other times, like, I've noticed, like, for me, the shift in style is more the fact that, yes, there was a bit more form-fitting at first, and now I tend to like bigger, baggy. But my first sweater, I just was looking at it recently, and my first sweater was very much bulky, bag, like sack of potatoes.
Bulky sweater gang, show us!
Oh my god, this yarn is gorgeous, though.
I did this for
Look
the
at
yarn.
how wide that neck is.
I did this for the yarn.
Look at that funnel neck.
Oh yeah, that thing is
neck.
awful. It does not fall
causeway.
well. It just doesn't.
Sorry.
First of all, it did this thing where I can't stretch it anymore. So
it's big enough
really,
for good.
You can't really
I
do
feel
A big
that.
old cowl neck.
the roll. Does not stick. So when you're wearing it, just keeps like flopping
Was the
back
pattern
up.
supposed to be like a rolled up?
I don't
solid
remember
neck?
anything about this. I barely remember making it.
When did you make it?
This was in 2019, I want to say, or 19. Yeah,
So that's like 5 years ago.
So I started knitting 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So
You have gone so far.
yeah, like before that, the closest I got was a few rows that my mom tried to teach me when I was 10, and then I went no, and then I walked away, and then I did it again.
You came back to it when you were ready.
Yeah, when I was ready for it, and then essentially this was the first. And I like I said, I did kind of like unintentionally, but kind of worked out, choose yarn and a pattern, like a stitch that kind of hides all the mistakes.
Because this is moss stitch, right? So it's one knit, one purl.
Because there's like so many mistakes everywhere.
But that's just
like,
an end that hasn't been sewn in.
Oh
that's
no. There's a lot of like there's holes in these areas like but you have to look for them.
Yeah.
And if you don't notice them, you're not gonna
there, yeah.
So
would you say that you picked this to make because it was easy or because you liked it?
I picked it because I wanted the yarn.
I
I wanted to see what the yarn looked like. It was all about the yarn for me. Like, this was 100% a yarn decision, and I think I just went for whatever sweater looked easy to showcase this yarn. Because I really like this, like, mosaic, almost like, what do you call it?
Stained glass
picture. I don't even remember anything about it because it was like
so long ago.
For me, it's an eternity.
Hold this up for just a second. I would like to now go ahead and posit the versus the now of your sweaters and your style. Look at how different those two are.
This is
the dirty caramel sweater.
So we're looking at going from a really chunky, bulky weight yarn that is
oversized.
This is DK, I think.
It's fingering with mohair.
It's fingering with mohair, so I think it's
DK or worsted. Mm-hmm.
But the shape is so different.
Yeah,
the
so this one was made to like fall
is so
right
different
above your hips, and then you have like a bit of this balloon sleeve thingy happening.
Like, you've got long sleeves there. Those are maybe not the longest of sleeves.
I love, so I'm the opposite of you. I love the long sleeves. I love when they kind of like go right here. So, and like, for me, it's the complete, like, I love that feeling for some reason because like, it makes me feel small. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it makes me feel like cozy. Like, it makes me feel like I'm being embraced by something. So that's definitely something that I like.
Would you say that yarn is still informing your style choices today?
Yes, because technically for this, I literally followed to a T the colors that this was asking for. Yeah. I refused to do this with any other combination because I really liked the yarn, the color combination.
The pattern sample that the designer made is what Karen made. She copied the color palette.
I'm a very visual person.
It's totally great.
So yarn is definitely like the color of the yarn and the feel of the yarn is what drives me. And then if the pattern is nice, then that's awesome. But like this one, I really liked the yarn, but I'm okay with the pattern. It's nice, but it's not.
This is the Oolong Tea by A.B. Scher, right?
But it's not something that I gravitate towards.
Really?
Really, you don't wear it as much?
No. I'm not a vest. I'm not a vest person.
But this is meant to be a t-shirt more. Well, I mean, I suppose you could
right.
wear it either way.
Like, it's nice, and I enjoy doing it, but it's not. I'm not a vest person.
See, I could totally see this over like a long sleeve button-up t-shirt, and just being like, I would wear this once a week.
And if you were to make it 1 or 2 sizes bigger than what your bust circumference is, yes. But if you made it to fit your body as a first layer, it's not gonna look. It's not gonna be comfortable. It's not gonna be as comfortable.
I did wear it with a blouse under, and it actually worked relatively well. It's just I don't wear blouses either that much. Fair enough, yeah. So it's just like I'm like that's just.
But do you wear that in the summer? Do you find yourself reaching for that in the summer?
A little bit, but not as much as I could. Like, I prefer the t-shirt style or the short sleeve style.
Here we go, even more growth. Because you just made that like a
this was like last year. So I'm realizing that for me, the
like the Tulsa tee?
Tulsa tee, oh my god, the one that, I love that one. So like, that's more like, you see this, like,
that's like a
short sleeve.
Shoulder,
yeah, although it kind of unraveled a little bit, so I'm sad.
Well, we'll fix it.
I'll make another one. But
so yarn is still motivating your choices.
Yeah,
but
very much.
You're now being more particular about what patterns you make with the yarn, as opposed to just wanting yarn pattern as an afterthought.
Well, yarn, but then also texture of the pattern. I think for me, like texture or color, because color work. I feel like, I don't know about you, but for me, color work and texture don't mix very well.
Fair.
I find that half the time, if you have color work, it hides the texture, or vice versa.
Right, so if you have like a tweedy yarn or a boucle yarn, it's not going to show up as nicely.
Yeah, so I prefer to go for solid colors when it's about texture, like the Arctic sweater, or
color work.
Color work, which is just stockinette the whole way, but it showcases the color so well.
Yeah, it really
right?
does.
It makes it like so, like, for me, I love this one because it's like so clean and sleek.
It's so crisp. Yeah.
Like, oh my god, I love this one.
And that's another interesting thing, that perhaps what feels more elevated of this sweater versus this sweater is the texture. Because in here we're looking at just stockinette, color work, and minimal ribbing.
Yep.
But in this one, we're seeing texture all over.
Yeah.
Now, I have made some, in the past, I've made some very heavily textured garments, especially crocheted. I was really into those, like, tank tops that were, like, very busy crochet lace situation. And I just can't see myself wearing those anymore, because now I find the texture too busy.
Right.
I would sooner make a crochet that's just double crochet or single crochet, so it looks plain. Because to me now, plain equals like an elevated basic. Right? Yeah. Kind of like what you see Pearl Soho's patterns to be. Whereas when I see texture, I think cozy. I think cottage. I think,
Yeah, that's very true.
I don't know exactly what is driving my style choices in my making now, but I can tell you that I've been getting a lot of inspiration recently from just being on Ravelry for years.
Yeah.
And being on Instagram for years.
That's the thing, because you see a lot of like different ideas or things that you wouldn't even have thought of doing. Like, this is what I love about the social media, is the fact that now, I don't know why I said the social media, but the fact that you get to like see so many different styles and so many different colors, so many different yarns, so many different, and
you're spoiled for choice.
And I was just thinking, what else is the difference between older, and I don't know about you guys, but for me, this was never blocked. And this was. So I do feel like maybe my thought process would be a little different if this had been blocked in the first place.
But then it would have grown even larger.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but the point is, like, a lot of my earlier works were not blocked.
Yeah.
Me neither.
So the size was not the way that it should have been, or it wasn't, because I didn't know what block was. Right. Like, I was like, what do you mean? What does that mean? And for the longest time, I was actually scared of doing it, because I thought it was going to, like, ruin it. It did ruin, actually, one shirt I made, because it grew so much that it was a dress. So I was like, I think I got rid of it, because I was like, it's literally going below my knee. This is like, no. And it was a tweed. I remember that.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how, now that we know the proper steps and how fabric reacts and what we like to wear, what choices are we making now having those things in, like, you know, known in advance. Like, for example, when I made my latest sweater, which, if I'm not mistaken, was my second ranunculus.
Okay.
It's been a while since I made a sweater for myself. I made that fully knowing that if I did it to my actual measurements, because I knit loosely and because I was gonna block it, it was gonna grow like maybe 2 sizes. And it did, and that's what I wanted. Yeah. Right? Whereas if I had made that sweater 7 years ago when I didn't know what blocking was, I probably would have just made it I would have picked 3 sizes up to begin with. I would have picked chunky yarn. I would have picked bigger needles.
Proactively
compensating.
Yeah, exactly. As opposed to reacting with the finished garment.
Yeah. And I feel like now I'm more driven towards picking a pattern and then seeing what yarn fits it. Yeah. More than buying a yarn and then seeing what kind of pattern. Yeah. What is driving your choices now, Allie? Like, in terms of, like, style
in terms of style, I'd like to say that my style has become very much like, we're looking at jewel tones, vibrant colors. We're looking at transitional garments. Like, I'm the kind of person who loves to wear dresses simply because my body fluctuates so much over the course of like a week, let alone a month, a year, that I like having dresses because that means I can wear them in the summer, I can wear them in the winter, I can wear them when I'm bloated, I can wear them when I'm not bloated. Like, they're always going to suit my body. I do love good jeans. But I like transitional garments in my making because they become more versatile. They can play with more of what I have in my closet. And for me, as a person who wants to invest in the quality of the materials, it feels more worthwhile. So for me, practicality is a really big thing driving my choices.
So your style in terms of like what patterns you're picking to make and what yarns you're picking to make. You're going for like, what can I make that fits what I like to wear?
Exactly.
Yeah, which is a really good way to.
For example, this is my before. Beautiful sweater. Love it. Still wear it. This is a sweater I almost exclusively wear with jeans, right? Because of how busy the pattern is, how much of a contrast there is in the colors. I'm not wearing that with like my big polka dotted skirt. Yeah. I could if I wanted to.
It would clash.
But it just, it would look so busy and I would feel lost in both patterns. Whereas now, this is the kind of thing that I pick up. I'm looking for a single color, tonal. I want that texture because it's exciting, but it also I can highlight the other part of my wardrobe, right? So for example, if I'm wearing my most beloved favorite burgundy linen dress, that vibrant color below this, well, you're still highlighting this with the lace, but that gives the opportunity for the other part of my outfit to shine. Yeah. It also doesn't swallow me and take away from my face, because if I'm wearing a hand-knitted garment, I want you to look at it, but more importantly, I want you to look at me. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So in that case, I'm trying to choose garments that will go with at least 60 to 75% of my closet. I'm looking for garments that will not take over the whole look, and I am looking for patterns that will accentuate my face or maybe my hips or whatever part of the body it is that I want to accentuate with that garment.
Did you arrive at those decisions just by trial and error?
Trial and error. Okay. Trial and error. The first sweater that I made that I really, really felt was like
a flop.
Not a flop, 100% right, was my first love note. Actually,
this is a love note.
This is the second one that I made, but the first one I made in a gold color, pretty similar to this actually, and I did it after having read through so many of the pattern pages, and I put some really subtle A-line shaping into the body because I'm a triangle, and so when I was done and I blocked it and I tried it on, it felt so correct. Because what it is I had a size that fit my bust. Yeah. So when I wear it, you can actually see the curve of my chest, which is something that I want to accentuate. But then I have just a subtle flare, just right. I'm not in camera enough for this. Just right about maybe here at the narrowest point of my waist. Yeah. And it flows out. So I don't get that awkward bunching. Yeah. So I don't have this part of my body being highlighted. I have this part of my body, which is the part I want you to be looking at. If you're not looking at my face, I want you looking here.
And I think another interesting...
That's what I want.
Another interesting parody here is that you when you were mentioning this, like, A-line shaping on the side, I can think back at the kinds of dresses and pants that you wear. Yeah. And this is usually where the seam is.
I love an empire-waisted garment. Yeah. So what I'm doing is one of two things when I'm buying clothing, and it's a top or a dress. It's either going to be empire-waisted or it's going to be cropped. In the case of a shirt like this, where it's a bit longer, this is a shirt I've had for probably close to 10 years now. I'm not getting rid of stuff in my closet, but I'm going to start changing the way I wear it. Yeah. So if it was the summertime where it wasn't almost freezing, I'd have this probably tied up like all the way up here. Yeah. So you get that band of skin right above my
and like a flowy skirt or something.
Exactly. Because that's what I want. I want to bring you in right here to this part of my body that is the narrowest and, you know,
the tatas.
The most sensual, let's just say. Because that's where I want the focus to be in an outfit. Yeah. So, in this one, where all the shaping is in the waist, I don't really enjoy that. I don't feel comfortable wearing that. Because if you look, if I do this, put them up, this one, all of the shaping is right about here. Whereas this one, all of the shaping is so much further down. Yeah. Right? So, like, this is where the shaping is on the gray one. This is where the shaping is on the green one. Like, do you see that difference? Yeah. So for me, it's more about practicality and being able to highlight not just my wardrobe, but my body in a way that I really want you to look at. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference in mine.
I'm really excited to see how all three of our styles evolve over the next
what's yours? Where's your most recent make?
My most recent makes have been very, like I said, tonals and solid colors. And I've been focusing more on strategic texture. Yeah. Right? So right now on my needles, I have a half fisherman rib cardigan, which was my birthday cast on. And I have color work for my partner. I think you've seen it before, like the Cordy sweater. And I find that for me, showcasing the beautiful yarn that I've chosen is more important than showcasing my skills. And so I'm picking yarns in combination with patterns that for me make a statement piece, right? I'm not making everyday stuff unless I specifically want an everyday stuff. I will go for something that fits more like a sweatshirt, right? But I'm picking stuff that when I put it on, it's a special garment. I'm not making like basics and like as much, right? I've tried dipping my toes into basics, and I just find that to me they're too special to wear every day. And so I'm being more careful with what I pick. Needs to be different enough to my fabric choices in my the rest of my wardrobe that it'll still go well, but it won't kind of get lost with my other pieces because I want my knits to shine.
I feel that way about accessories. Yeah. I want my garments to be like, subdued is not the right word. I want my garments to blend seamlessly into my closet, but I want my accessories to be the standouts.
That's really interesting.
See, I don't know a lot about style. So
you do.
No, I really don't. Like, I don't think you've clearly. We have to go shopping together, so you get to see what it looks like when I'm trying to look for clothes. But the only style thing I can tell is that I tend to like boxy fits, where I kind of like get lost, and I do that with my knits too, because again, it's that idea of like getting like cozy, feeling small and cozy. Yeah. I've always had that. But the form fitting is more like, you know, when I was in my sexy era, and now I'm more in my cozy era.
Yeah, I feel like when I was in university and high school, that was my sexy era, when I was wearing a lot of like open weave crochet and being like, heck yeah, check me out. And now I like to show skin more strategically.
Yeah. For me, it's more like I want to just like feel comfortable in this sweater and just like fall asleep in it.
I can't wait to come back to this conversation in 5 years.
Yeah, I know.
And for us to all be like, I hate all those silhouettes and choices, and they're so ugly.
Screw the solids. I want just neon color work.
Exactly.
Oh God. Okay, baby.
But that's the thing, right? Like, as you grow, as you have more life experiences, your style evolves. As your body changes, what you want to highlight and don't highlight, that changes as well. Yeah. And don't be afraid to like have some trial and error. And if something doesn't really work for you anymore, pass it on.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
And
don't be scared to like give it to somebody else or give it a second life. Sometimes you can just modify it.
At the end of the day, it's just yarn. And I would want to close this conversation with just encouraging you to play.
Yeah.
Just play with your stuff, have some fun, and if it comes off like you don't really connect with it and you don't want to wear it, pass it along. Undo it and
you still did it. At the end of the day, even if you don't wear it or you choose that you're done with it, you still did it. You still
So tell us in the chat, what were you into when you first started? And what are you into now? And does that show your style growth? Yep. I'm really curious to see what other people... Did you also go from chunky to fingering weight?
I like refuse to knit above a worsted weight, honestly above a DK now, but like that's fine.
But that's, So thank you so much for watching our memory lane little reflection here. I hope you enjoyed hearing our experience, and I hope you'll be able to share with us in the comments how your style in your making has changed. We hope to see you again soon. And we'll bring you some other interesting debates and topics.
Let us know what you want us to talk about.
Bye. Thanks for watching.